Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are a reputable East Hull-based car specialist and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, they are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members. Hello and welcome to the first in a series of special Robin Pods which have been released in the build-up to the Hull Kingston Rovers Challenge Cup final fixture against Warrington Wolves. Over the next few days, I'll be bringing you all the latest news, views and insight as Rovers look to get the Challenge Cup in their hands for the first time since 1980. For today's Robin Pod, Bazza Kingston joins me to look back at the Robins' deserved victory over St Helens on Friday night. Bazza, welcome to the Robin Pod.
Cheers, Johno. Thanks for having us back on, mate.
For people who are listening to this on the podcast and not watching on YouTube, Bazza's got mood lighting in his luxury lorry. Honestly, I swear, it turns more into like a luxury apartment more than it does a... What are you driving, Bazza? What are you driving?
V8 Scania, mate, with all the
V8
mod cons and aircon pod, everything. So I'm nice and cool on the night.
I'll tell you what, mate, what an easy life you've got here. All you've got to do is navigate the motorways and highways of Britain in the lap of luxury.
Hey, mate, I was on the road at 2 o'clock this morning. It's not that easy.
No doubt, mate. No, I'm all joking aside. But I tell you what, this first Robin Pod, we're going to look back at the St Helens game because it deserves a mention because it was a great performance from the Robins. Much of the work during the first half. What did you make of it, Bazza?
Well, I didn't really have any sort of expectations going into this game because it was just a massive guessing game for every Rovers fan. Like, what team we're going to put out? Are we going to be weakened? Is it going to be massive rotation? Saints come into this playing some sparkling rugby. So I didn't have many expectations. I'd have been happy with a win. But I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was very, very surprised with the outcome and the way we performed on Friday night. I think it was the first time in a very long time I woke up on the Saturday morning, and I'm starting to believe now because it was an unbelievable performance, very professional. And to be honest with you, mate, I don't think I've seen Willie Peters that animated since the semi-final at Ellen Road when we beat Wigan with a drop goal. I think that's probably the only time I've seen Willie so animated. So you can see what it means to him. He's trusted his boys to get the job done, and they went above and beyond for me.
Well, you already mentioned it there, Bazza, about the team selection, because the big talk leading up to the fixture, wasn't it? And what we covered on last week's Robin Pod is, will Willie Peters rest players? Will we see players missing? Mikey Lewis, for example. We saw Dean Hadley rested, and I think that was probably due to discipline. It might have been injury as well. There's a bit of a combination there, but that was a full strength Rovers team, omitting, of course, the players who were injured like Gilda, McAlorum, Reece Martin. But that was as strongest as we could have gone, really.
Yeah, it was. And you look at the starting lineup, it was near enough as strong as what we had, like you've just said. But it's the way we rotated the players throughout the game, and that's when you see a coach earn his dollar. And for me, he really earned his dollar on Friday. The way he looked after players, made the right calls at the right times, like taking back off at half time, even going as far as, I know it's a bit cheeky, but taking Mini off with like 6-7 minutes to go and not replacing him, just to like protect 𝗀𝗂𝗧. So no, he got it absolutely spot on. I think a lot of lessons have been learned, not just from Willie, but throughout the club from 2023, and we're going into that very buoyant.
Yeah, do you know what? It's really interesting. You just made me think of something, because I think when Willie Peters got interviewed in his pre-game press conference last week, and I think he was asked a question about the team selection prior to the Lee Challenge Cup final, and they asked him, obviously, when we rested the players against Wigan, and he said it was like a club decision. It wasn't necessarily, do you know what? That sort of pricked my ears up a little bit to go, you know, that was more than just Willie Peters' decision. It was maybe the club who were saying that. I think this team is being selected by Willie Peters, and of course the coach he's got a group, hasn't he, who select the team, and ultimately he has final say. But do you know what I loved about the team selection was it was aggressive. It was no, we've got the final, but do you know what? We've got 2 points to play for here as well, and also St Helens are they're not the team of what he used to be, but they're coming into the game on the back of 2 decent results, and I like the aggressiveness, and I like the fact that it's quite ballsy to go, do you know what? If we get a player injured, we'll deal with it and we'll move on from it, and I think that's what stood us in good stead, and also what you can't dismiss as well. I mean, the players who have been injured, they are not necessarily injuries that are due to fitness. Those injuries, the conditioning of the side at the moment. You know, the fact that Tanganoa can go 80 minutes now, and he didn't look gassed at the end. Yeah, he put a massive, but he could have kept going. Now, turning the tables back last season, maybe even the season, there's no chance Tanganoa would have gone that because he was being spelled deliberately. And I think that's testament to what's going on behind the scenes at the club, the pre-season. And I just really like that lineup. I just thought, do you know what? Yeah, I was in the camp of, no, we don't rest anyone. We go for it. And if we get injuries, we'll deal with it. But I'm pleased Willie Peters went like that.
Yeah, so am I. Going on to the Tanganoa, first 2 or 3 rounds, he wasn't really using Tanganoa that much. We was literally seeing him for 5, 10, 12 minutes, and we weren't seeing the best of 𝗂𝗡𝗄𝗏. But obviously, because of injuries and whatnot, and he's doing more minutes, we really are starting to see the best of 𝗂𝗡𝗄𝗏. But the one thing I noticed in that game, I felt Saints was going out to do some damage on us. I mean, we'll get to it a bit later on, but some of the cheap shots, and I felt as the game was slipping more away from St Helens, they was getting a little bit grubbier, a little bit dirtier, like really trying to do some damage. And what I was proud of is we didn't get drawn into it. We kept really composed and professional, and we just absorbed everything that they threw at us, and we didn't get too carried away. We was calm throughout, and that's what got us over the line. And like the more we went forward, the more Saints seemed to lose their head in that game. And so it's a really good mentality thing, taking over into Wembley to, you know, if someone's going to try and bully us, we'll just sit back, we'll take it, we'll laugh, and then we'll keep going. And I think that's like the mentality they've got. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think what they are is just really good rugby players. You know, you saw Jack Broadbent. He went in for the first try. Another good try from Robbins. You know, you saw the offload from Tanganoa. You saw Broadbent going. I mean, Broadbent, he was asked about his versatility, wasn't he? About being nailed down in position. He's just happy to play. He'll play anywhere. And at the moment, he's going to, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got a big job in the Challenge Cup final. But the fact that he is able to switch between them positions, but not only switch, actually do a great job in whatever role he's playing, is testament to him. And then we see 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏 will cause the second try after 10 minutes. As soon as 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏𝗏 goes in, I'm straight away going, St Helens are done here. You just could see it. That opening 10 minutes, we just out-muscled them, outclassed them, and it set the benchmark for the rest of the game. And, you know, when you look at the half-time scoreline, St Helens were blown. All the hard work was done. And what Rovers seem to be really good at, Bazza, is condensing their element, like their big plays into 10, 20 minutes where they just blow a team away and then they just sit back and then they're comfortable in defence. And it was another example of that. And the funny thing for me, Bazza, I didn't walk away going, wow, that was the most brilliant performance I've ever seen.
No.
It was like just the ethos around the team and it's just so professional at the moment. They just get the job done, but they do it to such a great level.
I don't think I've ever seen such a perfect combo amongst players, because if you start picking out players one by one, a Sam Luckley, you know, a Jack Broadbent or whatever, these aren't superstars and they're not well beaters. But the way Willie's put them together, even 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗂𝗡𝗏𝗏, they've come from a relegated side, but the way Willie's put them together and got them all working, they look like superstars, and they're a match for anyone. And that is what we've been missing for a lot of years. I've never seen it at Rovers, but I think going back to what you said about Jack Broadbent, I mean, we sung the praises of Ollie Gilda very well this year. You've got to ask the question, Johno, is Jack Broadbent worth the number 4 shirt next year?
Because, well, that's it. He's certainly playing his way into that position, isn't he?
Yeah,
and obviously
he's reliable.
And it is reliable. And you know what I like about Broadbent is also he's physically he's quite a bit. He's got the 10 of pace. He's obviously got a step as well. We saw that in the Challenge Cup semi-final against Catalan at York. How he can step off 1 foot. He's got a bag of tricks, and he's also he fronts up in defence. So yeah, it's a great question because Gildart brings something different. Obviously, the partnership with Burgess is so important, but it's a good question to see. And also going forward in terms of 𝗬𝗂𝗏, he looks nailed on for that fullback position.
Yeah,
you know, it is a big selection dilemma. Yellow card for Saints. I mean, there was no question about it, was there? It was just a poorly timed. It wasn't dirty. It was just a poorly timed tackle. But Morg don't invite it. But the way Morg plays, he leaves defenders scrambling, and that was another example of where Morg's footwork and pace just makes the defenders not able to react as quick as what they'd like to do, and then they come up with the errors and come up with the high shots like Deon Cross did, and then he deserved to be gone. And Morg, I mean, it's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about the final in podcasts later on during the week, but Morg has been exceptional for me. I love him. I just think he's fast. There was a big question mark when Gnarl Evans went, and I do think 𝗬𝗏𝗏 is Gnarl Evans Mark II, and that's no slight to Gnarl Evans because I thought he was fantastic for what he's done. But 𝗬𝗏𝗏 has just brought that fullback role. He just raised the game the way he plays.
He has. It feels like he's been here for years, and I think they've said that a few times. And what I love the most is the way he's come from France. Yeah, it's not a million miles away, but he's come across to East Hull and he's embraced the culture and he's settled in so fast. The players have welcomed him and everything's just clicked with him. And like, he seems so happy. I mean, I actually laughed the other week because he put a story on Instagram, a photo of onto seafront. That's no south of France, but the lad must be happy exploring the east coast, like. But it's he's brilliant. I think he's the missing link, and we've got a lot of cover for kickers now. It's a bit like is it James Donaldson? He used to lead with his head, who used to play for us, didn't he?
Yeah.
And 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏's been said that he's a little bit like James Donaldson leading with his head to get the penalties, but it's just his size, and players can't cope with him. They can't handle him, especially when he comes off his right foot and ducks. It is what it is. But
I was going to say,
mate. Go on, sorry, John.
Go on, Bazza, you go.
I don't think that yellow was the worst offence of the night. I thought Morgan Knowles on Mikey was the worst, and if the ref had clamped down on that and sent him for 10, maybe Saints would have cleaned the game up a little bit, but they just kept throwing dirty shots in, and I think the Deon Cross one was enough's enough.
Yeah, well, I think Deon Cross was a victim of what's gone before, which has been noticed by the touch judges, by the referee. They've let it slide, and then it's basically come on, and to be fair, from there, I mean, Mikey was targeted throughout the game. That you could see it calmed down a little bit towards the back end of the second half, but it was targeted. I mean, talking to Mikey Lewis, for me, he got the try of the game in that first half, the Sam Luckley offload, and then Mikey Lewis, he just bursted onto that. I mean, Sam Luckley in the team of the week
is another unsung hero, isn't he? Another unsung hero.
Bazza, he looks like he's absolutely loving life at Kingston Rovers. He looks like he's always in the picture. If you go on Instagram and you follow players, he's always one who's in the picture with somebody else. So he's got friendships. But not only that, I remember when we first signed him, and people were questioning, you know, is he good enough? You know, he wasn't necessarily a regular for Salford as well when we first signed him. And what he's been able to do with his game under the tutelage of the Willie Peters and the coaches there, his game's come on, and he's pivotal to that side. And like he's like an octopus with Vaseline on his tentacles because he just gets that ball out from. And honestly, the opposition, they know what he's going to do, and they can't stop him. I don't know how he does it. I wonder if he knows how he does it because he's able to free his arms up, and the benefit of that was Mikey Lewis, and don't forget as well, Mikey Lewis did have a bit of work to do as well. It looked like he at one point he might have been caught, and then he just put the afterburners on him, and he was straight through, and it was a fantastic try.
Well, if you look at Sam now, it's a little bit like 𝗂𝗂𝗏𝗏, and I know it sounds mental comparing him to Jared, but he's drawing in 3, 4, 5 defenders, and they're desperate for him not to get released his arm to get that offload away. And like I've just said, Dean Adley for many years has been unsung hero. People don't see what graft he gets through. I think Sam Luckley's like that now, especially over the last 18 months, cutting out the stupid offloads at the wrong time in the wrong places. He's becoming a very complete prop and goes under the radar a little bit. No, I've got a lot of love for Big Sam. He's cracking bloke as well. Yeah. It really is.
I mean, if you're the opposition defence, if you see if Rovers are in their 20, and you'll see Sam Luckley powering onto the middle of the pitch, you know, towards the sticks, you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know whether if he's going to offload. You've got to then consider, is he going to barnstorming run, go straight over us, and the amount of times he gets that ball free. I mean, it's fantastic, and he's so pivotal to the side. And you know what? It's great to see because he looks like a great bloke as well. You know, the documentary, what they did before Magic Weekend on Sky, a family man, like he loves his family. He's appreciative of the fact that he's earning a wage playing sport. One of the rare things is he's a Geordie playing professional rugby league. You know, he's a real wholesome character, and I'm delighted to see how he's doing at the moment because you can see how much it means to him.
Well, without being too disrespectful, he's an estate lad. You know, he's from an estate. He's done it the hard way.
Yeah.
Our club, it's on East Hull, an estate, working class community. So he understands that and he appreciates that because that's his roots. And I think that's why he's took a chance to Hull Kingston Rovers.
Yeah, and Elliot Minchella, last try of the first half. He's off the noodle run. He's first try of the season. I'm sure he'll be delighted with that. I mean, there was a lot of work from Lewis. It was fortunate in how it came about, but what I loved is the speed of the reaction, how it then manifested itself into a try. You know, it wasn't just, oh, let's see where the ball goes or let's go into a defensive position. It was on the ball and Minchella just bursting through. And that's what I just love about Rovers at the moment. It's the speed and the execution and the speed of thought in the mind to make things happen. And Minchella, he's always there in that middle position, isn't he? He's so important to the side. I was delighted for him to get that try.
Yeah, brilliant try, wasn't it? It was good vision from Mikey as well to see the space to try that cheeky kick. And yeah, he got a bit fortunate with it, but Mikey's really starting to show the man of steel of form of 2024. And like you say, the follow-up play from Mini, that's the chemistry, that's the connectivity between the players. And you can't buy that stuff. They know what each other's going to do. And, you know, it's not always going to pay off, but when it does look very, very good. It's like, I know you're going to come on to it, but what I think the try of the game for me was Jez Litton's cute little kick through. That was fantastic for Broadbent. Second try, that was brilliant.
Well, they capitalised on the yellow card, didn't they? And it came pretty close after Deon Cross got yellow carded, and the vision. And don't forget as well, Litton was playing in the halves as well for much of the second half when Tyrone May went off. Do you think that was a rest in? It was just a chance for Tyrone May to get off, or?
Well, it was squeaky bum time, wasn't it? The first minute, his arm was hanging a bit because he took a bit of a knock. But it's hard to say with Tyrone because he shows no emotion when he's hurt, when he's happy or anything, and he's still hit just as hard, even though he took that knock in the first minute. But maybe it was a knock, maybe it wasn't. But either way, Willie Peters again did the right thing. He's nursing him. You know, the damage is done. There's no point in taking any more risks.
Yeah, and don't forget as well, this was Bachelor going off as for as much as he did. We saw Whitbread. I mean, Whitbread was on and off, on and off. I think they was trying to rest Whitbread as much as they can. Obviously, Bachelor's injury made it probably didn't help Whitbread in terms of him having to play a pivotal role, an important role in the side, but it definitely didn't help. Obviously, for St Helens, Jack Wellesby going off didn't help them. But do you know what? With St Helens, even if Wellesby stayed on the pitch, they don't look the side of Tristan Saylor. I mean, I called him out after they played Westall at Craven Park, and I looked at Tristan Saylor. The only player who impressed me in that Westall victory, bearing in mind, I think, what was it, 30 points upon him, was Whitby, and I think he does look like a real talent. Tristan Saylor, for me, he looks a shadow of a player who's come over from the NRL, and for me, he doesn't offer anything to St Helens. And I think, to be fair, you've got players like Walmsley still trying to get around, and they just look slow. They don't look. Do you know what? We put them to bed at their place, and we looked pretty much comfortable. And now we look even more comfortable, and that's on the back of them having two victories. So this is why, like you, Bazza, starting to blip confidence-wise, you know, this Rovers side is just like a machine at the moment. They just go about the business so thoroughly, with so much power, so much speed, and they back each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, for many years since was the benchmark, they've clearly dropped off. But I think the way we've been as of late, and you might think I'm mad for saying this, but I think we're getting pretty close. We're not quite there yet, but I think we're getting pretty close to like a Wigan standard. Now, if we can carry on with this standard and keep raising it, there's no reason we can't do what Wigan do. And Willie Peters always uses Wigan as like a blueprint. And honestly, watching Rovers, it's like watching a Wigan, like a well-oiled machine. But we ain't got the superstars. We ain't got, you know, a 𝗫𝗓𝗄𝗏 or a 𝗫𝗂𝗏𝗏. We've got our players who, you know, the just as good as the Wigan superstars, as in competing, working hard. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, she will mention him now or later, but what a boy he is.
Yeah, what did you make of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏's performance?
Well, when I first saw him against Oldham, I was very impressed. I even thought then, like, could this be a junior in December in the making? Then we saw him at Magic against Salford, and I personally thought, right, he's been saying he's hungry, he's ready for Super League, he wants his chance, he wants his share, you know. And when he was on the bench, obviously I'm happy for the boy because I want to see more of him. But for me, I thought this could be make or break for Doro. It could go one or two ways. He could absolutely light it up, or we could actually see maybe he's not quite at that standard yet. For me, exceeded all expectations. It was outstanding. Yeah, there was a couple of drop balls, an incorrect play of the ball, you know, but he's a raw talent. It's just put George Delaney on his backside. You know, he's going toe to toe with Matty Lees and Alex Walmsley. And this is a young lad who's just signed from Bradford, who wants his opportunity, and I think he took it with both hands. And I think over the next 18 months, I think we'll have to get him tied down to quite a long deal, because there is definitely a player in there. He's hungry.
I was a little bit indifferent with 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏's performance because, you know, yeah, he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the aggression, he's got the range. Don't forget as well, I mean, the size of him means that you don't know whether he's going to offload. The 3 errors he came up with, though, that's not the level we're at, and I think that's why there's a lot to work at with him. But he's got the raw talent, he's got the raw pace, power, aggression. He's got the range. I need to if he, like you said, if he gets a couple of years under Willie Peters, where he could be in after that time. And I think they're being smart about how they manage his time at the moment. I don't know, and maybe he's actually fast forwarded a little bit, of course, with the injuries we've got, and then obviously with Hadley then being rested, while Hargreaves not playing, he's probably been fast forwarded a little bit more, a little bit like Bill Leyland. I don't think Willie Peters probably expected to see him playing, but he's got the attributes where you go, he's got to kick on. We've got to make something of him, because if we don't, it'll be sad in terms of how what he can bring to the team. But you saw the rawness with the knock-ons, didn't you? That was the only sort of. I mean, I was surprised he got the sponsors man of the match. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's good to him get that recognition. I think Michael Lewis was deserving of the Sky Sports man of the match. I think when you look at Mikey Lewis's influence on the game and what he brought, I think he was well deserving. But it's great now that we're having a conversation where 𝗲𝗏𝗏 is pushing for a first team player. Do you know what? Another player I've spoke about him before is Jack Brown as well. How he's coming on. You know, Pete. I think sometimes with the interchanges, supporters expect a player to come on and burst through. You know, do everything. Yeah. A bit like when we first signed Wadawara-Hargreaves. People thought he's going to be smashing through every line. He's going to be offloading. He's going to be taking people. No, but what they do is a great job for the team. And I think Brown is a proper team player. And I think Willie Peters, like I've said, he really likes him. The big question mark is, Bazza, whether he features in the Challenge Cup final.
Well, it'd be a dream for him, but you can't give him a place just for his dream because it's his boyhood club. For me, right now, I'd definitely have Jack Brown on the bench over 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏. That's just purely for experience, you know. It's a tough one. I think I'd have 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 at 18th man, but Jack Brown, it brings something different, and he's not the tallest of props. He's not a 6'5" prop, but he holds his own even against the biggest props. I think what Willie will have to look at is like what he's going to be coming up against. You see, I've noticed with Willie, he don't bring the likes of Jack Brown on till like the 70th minute, 65th minute. So, and our props have got a good enough engine to do big minutes, but I'd like to see Jack on the bench at least at Wembley. But again, it's us picked up knocks, us training well, you know. Dean Hadley, it was a car for sure. I personally think it was down to the disciplinary, but who knows, mate. But no, Jack Brown, he's getting better. When we first signed him, it was a little bit unfit because of where he'd come from, but he's a lot sharper, he's a lot leaner. When he come back from pre-season, when he played in the Amsterdam Challenge, it was a different player to the player we signed last year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Bazza, I am going to pick you up on something you said though, in terms of before you said about we don't necessarily have a team of superstars. I'll tell you what, one superstar we do have, and he's the best in the competition right now for me, is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You mentioned Jake Ward. I think 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is absolutely flying, and he's another one who just looks so happy in the side. I mean, that try he scored, he almost trundled over. I mean, it wasn't.
Three blocks. He dragged 3 blocks over.
Exactly, and it's not the first time he's done it either.
No, and that's strength. That's pure strength. But to look at him, he's not ripped or anything. He's got good hips. He's got good vision and good strength in the legs. He's brilliant. Like that right wing now is so strong with Tom Davies outside him as well. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, he's got to be in the Super League dream team. I think he's only got a year left, Danny. End of next year. So if he's still going like that, I think I'd offer him another 2 years if he looks after himself, especially like the way Ryan always looks after himself. You know, it don't look like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think the big thing about the game, and this is why at the start of this Robin pod talked about how he enjoyed the aggressiveness of Willie Peters picking his team. It looks like they're coming out with it unscathed as well. I think we saw Batchelor, he went off. Apparently that was a dead leg, so not the worst. It was just a case of him going off with and then we saw Tyrone May rested. After that, we've got Hadley to come back, Wadawara-Hargreaves to come back. You know, going into that game on Saturday, on the back of another 2 points in Super League, we're in a good place. It's a good place to be, isn't it?
I can't wait to see Jared back. I just, you know, I want it. It'd be nice to send him off in retirement with a Challenge Cup medal. You know, something that not a lot of Aussies win. But I'd want it more for Neil Ugel more than anything. But for Jared, I don't. You might raise your eyebrows, but I am a little bit worried on Saturday if he comes in with a little bit too much enthusiasm. You know, he's had 2 weeks off, full of energy, wants to make his mark. I just hope he don't do nothing silly, and it'll be controlled. But you know what I mean by that, don't you?
Yeah, well, I think, mate, the big worry wasn't it, when we first signed him? You know, like I mentioned earlier, the expectation is he's going to be steaming through everybody, and actually, what he's been really good at is controlled aggression.
Yeah.
Now we saw. I mean, I still can't get my head round that Huddersfield game. For whatever reason, Rovers just came out like so fired up. Like, and Hargreaves, he was doing stuff that he hadn't done in any of the previous games. He really wanted to lay a marker down. I don't know why. I don't know what's gone on there. He's had his medicine now. He's getting the opportunity to play on the biggest stage. Ultimately, when we signed him to play in these games. This was the draw, wasn't it? Come over to Rovers. You'll get the opportunity to play at Wembley. You know, and I think for the Aussie New Zealanders, playing at Wembley is still a big deal for them.
Yeah, so they love it.
Yeah, they love it. So I think, the challenge to him is keep a lid on it. But I've got every faith that he will, because I just think he's such a professional. And it wasn't like a lot gets make out of his disciplinary record. He doesn't play as many games as he does. If you look at how many games, 300 plus games in top level rugby league, he don't play that many games by being suspended and doing their things. So it's going to be great. We're going to talk lots more, Bazza, about the Challenge Cup final in Robin pods to come. If you're listening to this on Monday or you're listening to this on Tuesday, well, I'm lucky enough to catch up with Matt Newsom, who's going to be the BBC commentator for the Challenge Cup final on Saturday. He's really looking forward to talking about Hull Kingston Rovers, and we'll get a bit of an insight into his preparation. But Bazza, how are the nerves at the moment? Are you able to keep a lid on them, or is it literally just counting down every day to Saturday?
Mate, if I'm going to be absolutely honest with you now, I'm counting down the days. I ain't got the cocky arrogantness about me. I've just got I'm feeling confident. I've never felt this confident before. I'm feeling good about it. Whereas previous finals, I've always had stomachs being in knots, loads of elements of doubts. But I'm feeling good about this, but not in an arrogant way. So I can't wait. I can't wait, mate. Get me in that car, get me down that M1. I'm ready for it. Can't wait. When the red robin comes bob bob bobbing, when the red robin comes bob bob bobbing, when the red robin comes bob bob bobbing along.
The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are reputable East Hull-based car specialists and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, they are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members.